Number 24 says, find the mean of the data summarized in the given frequency distribution. It says the highway speeds of 100 cars are summarized in a frequency distribution below. Find the mean speed. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to do it by hand, and then we're going to do it in our TI-84 calculator. So remember, to find the mean, we did this in the last question. X bar equals to the sum of our data divided by our sample size, or our total frequency. In this case, our total frequency is 100. So I'm going to put that over here on top, or rather to the side. N equals to 100. Now, if you don't have an interval, that's fine. But when you are working with intervals, you need to find the midpoint of the intervals. Going back to create a frequency polygon, in order to construct that, you're going to need to find the midpoints of each class. When it comes to finding the mean of a grouped frequency distribution, we need the midpoint instead of the data value. So we're going to call that X sub M. And if you notice, each class has a different frequency, a different amount, and the frequency is all greater than 1. So when I'm finding the mean of a group frequency distribution, you must also consider the frequency of each class. So F is going to be the number of cars that are going these speed limits, these speeds, miles per hour. And we have to find the midpoint of each class. So we're going to create another column within our frequency distribution. And we're going to call this column midpoint. Let's put that in blue, actually. We call this X sub M. Now remember, to find the midpoint, the formula, it is the lower limit plus the upper limit divided by 2. So let's find the midpoint for the first class. The lower limit is 30. The upper limit is 39. Divide that by 2. 69 divided by 2 is 34.5. So we're going to put 34.5 in the place of the first midpoint. Let me just add my columns, my rows rather, to my table. Let's find the next midpoint. 40 plus 49 divided by 2. 89 divided by 2 is 44.5. My midpoint just increased by 10 units. 34.5 to 44.5. And as you can see, the distance between 30 and 40 is also 10. The distance between 39 and 49 is also 10. So the width of our frequency distribution is 10. So that means my midpoints will increase by 10 every time. This is 54.5, 64.5, 74.5. And then you have all of your midpoints. Let's continue. Now, in our formula, if you look here, we have the frequency times the midpoint. And then we have the sum of the frequency times the midpoint. The multiplication comes first. So now let's create another column for frequency times midpoint. And we're going to do what it says. Multiply each frequency with each midpoint. Let's finish creating the columns for this table. Okay. Open up our calculator. So the first one is going to be 3 times. Oops. Let's actually clear all this since we don't need anything. 3 times 34.5. That is 103.5. 16 times 44.5. That is 712. 52 times 54.5. 2,834. 16 times 64.5. That is 1,032. And then we have 13 times 74.5. That is 968.5. And now after you find all the frequencies times the midpoints, you want to find the sum of your frequency times your midpoint. Actually, let's put that in the original colors that we're using. So in order to do that, we're going to have to add up all these numbers that are in this column. And it's going to equal to 5,650. All right. Let's go back to our mean formula. That's 5,650 divided by n, which is the total frequency. It says already up here, there is a speed of 100 cars. So my total frequency is going to be 100. Also, to find your total frequency, which, we stated already in the beginning, you can just add up all of these numbers. When you add up all the numbers under the column for cars, which is the frequency, you get 100. Do not count the number of classes. There is 5 classes in this table. Does not mean that there is 5 frequencies. Let's divide this number by 100. And we have 56.5 miles per hour. That is the average speed. Let's do it in a TI-84 calculator. When you're plugging into the TI-84 calculator, you still need to find your midpoints. So regardless of anything, you need to find the midpoints. Let's clear this. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to Stats. Make sure it's under Edit. And for your numbers, for L1, you're going to enter in all your midpoints. 34.5, 44.5, 54.5, 64.5, and 74.5. For L2, you're going to enter in the frequencies 3, 16, 52, 16 again, and 13. After you enter in your midpoints into L1 and your frequencies into L2, you're going to hit Stats again. But this time you're going to go over to Calc. You're going to choose one variable stats. You must consist of L1 and L2. So hit second, hit number 1 to get L1. Put a comma. Second, number 2 for L2. You can close the parentheses if you want to or leave it open, doesn't matter. Hit enter. When you scroll up, the mean X is the mean that we have here, 56.5. The sum of our data is 5,650. We know N's 100. And for number 26, I think the question is, it gives us the sample standard deviation, which is not 15.8 as I can see. All right, guys, that's it. And I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.